Welcome to ProjectME, the podcast. I'm your host, Tiffany Carter, the founder of ProjectME, multimillionaire entrepreneur, former TV newscaster, money-making expert, female empowerment speaker, and self-proclaimed office supply addict. My mission is to take the mystery out of making big money. Every week on ProjectME, the podcast, I'll share success tips, strategies, and stories from other entrepreneurs, experts, and millionaires, showing you exactly how you can achieve your most exceptional life. Now let's get to it. The issue isn't that you don't think you can help your ideal clients. The issue is you need more of them to be able to find you. And you are online going, God, how are these people have thousands and thousands of followers and they seem to have more clients than they even know what to do with? And meanwhile, my accounts are barely growing on social media. People are trickling in, if that. And maybe it's because I started too late. Maybe it's because people aren't into me. Maybe I'm not charismatic or outgoing enough. Maybe it's because I'm too old. Maybe it's because I don't look a certain way. None of that is the issue. The issue is that you do not have a clear enough niche. It is not absolutely obvious to both yourself and your ideal client what you are going to specifically help them with. What problems are you going to specifically help them solve or lessen? On top of that, when you're using Instagram as one of your main lead generators, if you do not have that Instagram bio of yours optimized, you're missing out on getting thousands and thousands of ideal clients being able to discover you on that platform. And we're going to fix that. I created a one-of-a-kind workshop, my Nail Your Niche and Instagram Bio live Zoom workshop. It is 1 week away. You are insane if you do not sign up for this. You're going to walk away with an I help statement that is eye-catching, tangible, and crystal clear. You'll walk away knowing exactly how to optimize your Instagram bio for maximum visibility and growth. Plus, I'll be teaching you the 3 key must-haves when you share any of your offers so people actually buy them. So this is May 18th, limited spots because this is in a workshop format. Yes, I'm making the replay available if you can't come at this exact date and time. But stop sitting there wondering, not sure, you know it's vague, you have niche envy when you see other people's niches. If your account isn't growing and people are not discovering you without you sliding into DMs or doing cold marketing or shaking your booty online, then you need to sign up for this training. So much so that I'm giving a money back guarantee, 100% back, if you do not believe that this training is one of your best investments that you've made for yourself and your business all year. It's only $197 on top of it. So I know you can make that happen. Go to projectmewithtiffany.com/nail your niche, projectmewithtiffany.com/nail your niche. You can also swipe up and the link is right here in show notes. Do that before you continue listening to the episode because I want to make sure you get your spot and you get in there, and I'll see you in a week. Welcome to ProjectME with Tiffany Carter, the podcast and posse. I'm your host, Tiffany, and today we're going to expand your mind on what's possible for you in making money online. I know you see a lot of the conventional possibilities from all the people that you follow, myself included, but I want you to really think outside of the box. There's a lot of different things that you can do within your niche, within your industry, and that can really shake things up. Like, I want you to kind of dare yourself to think differently, because my guest I've brought on today, she did just that. And when we think differently and we execute differently, yes, the risk is higher because there's no one who's really done it like us before. So it might totally fail. But it also can really pay off. That's when you see the really big ideas come to life, is when someone's done something completely different than what you see out in the marketplace. So I brought on Alison Lumbatis, and you may know her from being featured in Forbes and a bunch of other publications. She has a book out. She is the founder and CEO of Outfit Formulas. So she creates a capsule wardrobe system. We're going to get into the nitty gritty of it because I want you to hear like how it's set up, how it came to be, because this might give you some ideas for things that you could do to set up your business to have some incredible passive income, because you know we're all about that life. Well, welcome to the show, Alison.
Thank you, Tiffany.
So tell us, how did this come about? Was it like you were buzzed on rosé one night and you had this idea? Like, where did this come from?
I wish it was that fun. No, I actually fell into a yoga pants rut, honestly. Back in 2013, I started working from home. I'd been a telecom engineer for 14 years. So this is a complete departure from what I used to be and from my corporate past life. And honestly, it was a matter of me stumbling across something that I needed in my own personal life. And while I'd had entrepreneurial pursuits in the past, nothing really ever completely panned out. And this was not one of my planned pursuits. This was something that I was just fulfilling a need for myself. I started blogging about it, sharing my journey of rebuilding my wardrobe, and nothing in my closet was working anymore. I had the proverbial closet full of clothes and nothing to wear, yeah, like many of us do. And the corporate past life clothes weren't working for my new work from lifestyle. So I started, sharing what I was learning and the clothes that I was adding to my closet and how I was pairing them up. And starting out as a blogger for 2 years before I even made a single penny at anything that I'm doing was really an excellent proving ground, and also a place where I built community before I launched the program. So
you were like a blogger, like a mommy blogger, like I'm doing this truly for fun and for free kind of a deal?
Absolutely. It was a creative outlet for me. I had been, in addition to being a telecom engineer, another thing that I was that does not fit into the whole picture, but yet it really kind of does. I was an actor in Dallas for 10 years, overlapping with that career. So I did a lot of, on camera stuff, spokes work. And I had that creative outlet. So in 2012, I stepped away from that because I realized that wasn't kind of the path that I wanted to be on. But blogging helped to just kind of fulfill that need for me to be creative. And, I was taking photos and writing, and that was really filling my cup at the time. And I did not ever expect in a million years that it would turn into anything that it's turned into today.
Were you always like into fashion? Like, was that always your jam or not at all?
No, as a matter of fact, I never felt stylish. Honestly, I didn't really understand my own personal style. I didn't explore it much as a teenager. We didn't grow up with money. So it wasn't like I was getting to go out and buy a lot of clothes. I shopped for like back to school, and that was it every year. And I felt like, I became a mom at a young age. I got pregnant my senior year in college with my son. I was a single mom for like a year. Again, like I didn't have the resources or time or money or anything to put into building a wardrobe. But I did eventually fall into what I felt like was my corporate uniform, which was a pencil skirt, a blouse, and high heels. And I had a lot of those pieces in my closet, like tons of blouses, tons of pencil skirts, tons of heels. And that worked for me. And I knew how to dress for work. But when I got home in the evenings, I would throw on sweatpants, or on the weekends. I did not have a wardrobe that worked for hours outside of work. So I would say that my personal style journey was kind of all over the place. And it's something that I pieced together over time throughout my 30s and even into my early 40s to where I am today. Well, I feel like I have a really good sense of what my style is.
Why did you think that was important? Because as I sit here, you guys, first of all, you can't see us. Allison's looks gorgeous, is totally put together, wearing an adorable top. Her hair is perfect. Her makeup's perfect. I'm basically wearing a Snuggie and I have no makeup on. Thank you. So my look is homeless chic. That's what I call it. But why is that important to you? When I have cute outfits, like when I go out, or when I have speaking engagements and stuff like that. But when I'm not out, I just wear athleisure. Why was it so important for you to have a look? Why weren't yoga pants cutting it?
Yeah. So I noticed honestly internal and external changes whenever I talk about this yoga pants rut that I was in, which really I've dealt with high functioning depression my entire life. And I started noticing signs of that creeping in. Yeah. So for me, when I get in that space, I stop getting dressed. I stop doing my hair. I stop doing my makeup. I stop eating healthy. I stop working out. I throw on yoga pants, but I don't do anything active in those pants. And it kind of starts to spill over into other areas of my life. And really that's how this whole thing got started. Is I sat down one night when I was in this spiral and I felt it starting to happen. I thought, what is one thing I can do to kind of, turn things around a little bit? And that next morning I woke up, I got dressed early in the day. I put on makeup, I fixed my hair, and I was amazed at how much better just those small things felt. It was like that little crack of light coming through the darkness for me. And I really noticed such a big change that I thought, how can I hold myself accountable for this? I don't have an office to go into. I don't have people seeing me throughout the day. It's just my husband and kids seeing me. So what am I going to do to make myself continue to do this? And that's really another reason why I started blogging, because I knew it could be an accountability partner for me to show up in my clothes and looking, like I'm ready to face the world. And it's funny, that's my own personal story. Like that's anecdotal, but there's a lot of studies and research out there that backs this up too, that there's internal and external power to getting dressed. It does affect our motivation, our confidence, our success levels, the way others perceive us. And I don't knock anybody. Like, I love your Snuggie and you're in your brand colors. You're rocking it. And your nails look amazing and your skin looks amazing. You're like being way too hard on yourself. Okay. But I also know that there are those times like at the speaking engagements and the things that we need to show up as the best version of ourselves, the more that we can do things externally that help to create that confidence, the better. So absolutely. I'm like all about it.
Well, let's talk about depression, because my loyal longtime listeners know I'm very open talking about it. I'm medicated for depression. I'm also PTSD survivor, so I have that as well. And I love your point, because I have heard that many times, right? Like, take a shower, wash your hair, because that can be really hard when you're up against it. So I can see what you mean by that. Like, just getting dressed. It's an act of self-honoring, don't you think?
Absolutely. Yes. I 100% think that. And I think that the hardest thing to do is, sometimes we read those things. I read it on Instagram all the time, like, take a shower. It sounds so trite. And so
it does. It sounds annoying, especially when you're in it. You're like, oh,
it does for sure. But, one of the things that I wrote about in my book is that you don't have to feel it to do it. And I think a lot of us are waiting for like the muse of inspiration to come along. Like, oh, I feel like getting a shower. I feel like getting dressed. I feel like doing this. And the fact is, I never feel like working out. It's just one of those things that I know has to be a part of my life. And getting ready is just kind of part of my routine now. It's not something that I can say I particularly enjoy doing, but I know on the other side of that, I'll feel better. So I tell myself that multiple times a week, Alison, you don't have to feel it to do it.
It's true. So- I say all the time, 70% of the shit I do, I don't feel like doing, but I do it. My line is I do it for the after. I want the after effect. So how did this depression come about? Did it start like in teenage years? Did you notice it more when you were an adult?
I would say it did start in teenage years. I remember the first time I felt it, and I want to say it's younger than that, probably around age 8, when I first realized that people die. Like I just remember sitting on the stairs in my childhood home and processing death at a very, very young age, and just like the heaviness of that. And then once the hormones kicked in and the teen stuff started happening, and I grew up in a kind of chaotic home environment. My dad was an alcoholic, and he was not physically abusive, but there was a lot of, emotional abuse going on in there. And it was very difficult. I became the parent at like age 14 in our house. My sisters, by the time I was 12, were both out of the house. And I kind of took over the responsibility at that point of just kind of leading everybody. So around 15 is when we gain our identities. And that's when you're in a safe environment and things aren't chaotic at home, you have that opportunity to explore, am I this? Like, what is my identity? I never had that opportunity until much later on in life. And I also think that affected my style journey as well, because I wasn't the typical teenage kid, like playing around with makeup and clothes. And there were bigger things on my mind. And I just remember always feeling that way. Like I had heavier things on my shoulders than most of my peers did. And I hid everything from my peers too. I mean, it was a typical, child of an alcoholic. You want everything to look like it's all fine on the outside and things are fine at home and all that stuff. So it was a lot. And I don't think it really got to a breaking point until I was in my mid-20s, and life was pretty settled by then. I was happily married, had, I had my son. My husband stepped in when he was 2 years old. He's been an amazing father for him. And then we had a little girl together, and then everything I started having panic attacks when I was probably 26 years old. And I'm like, what is this? Like, what is happening? And really started to kind of double down on seeking therapy and figuring out like what the hell is going on, because I felt like I was dying at that point in time. And that's when things really kind of started to turn around, as I started to become aware of how the trauma and the patterns and everything were affecting me, and just started one by one cleaning out all of those wounds. And I mean, it's still going on to this day. Like,
and it'll go on till the day you die. I mean, sure. I'm in ACA, which is Adult Children of Alcoholics and Dysfunctional Families. So I feel you on that. We have a lot of listeners who are trauma survivors and are adult children themselves. And you were clearly the family hero role. And and my guess is, based on your career and all the things you've done, you became like the overachieving one. Would that be correct?
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
You're like, yes.
Yeah, first generation college graduate. I mean, both of my sisters did go on after I did. My older sisters, they graduated from college too. But yeah, it was definitely, that pressure was there for sure. And I feel like, whenever I did get pregnant my senior year in college, that I was like letting the whole family down, because I was the one that was supposed to be, all these things. And I would say that was an unhealthy driver for many, many years. But I do feel like I'm in a good place with it now. But yeah, I mean, it's always kind of there. There's like the shadow side that still pops up now and then and just really does a number on you. It's always going to be there for sure.
Yeah. I mean, all of us have our crap. Some of us have more than others. And it never goes away. It's if you've unpacked it, and it's about us, the daily management of it. So how do you feel the growing up that way and having those, adult children type traits, right? Like perfectionistic traits. We can have a critical parent, that's very loud, that lives in our brain. How did that play a role from when you went from blogging and it being free? Because doing stuff for free, and listen, I'm calling a lot of you guys out. A lot of you guys do things for free, and it's like, this is so fun, and I'm showing up and I'm helping all these people. It's very different once you start asking people for money. So how did that kind of play a role? Because I'm sure we all do. I'm sure you had some self-doubt and things that came up in your mind when you went from it being a blog into turning it into a business.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So much. So I had a friend back then I spoke with, and you probably know Rachel Luna. She's a business coach. And I was like, Rachel, I'm blogging and I've got this really good audience, but I'm making no money. And she's like, because you're not selling them anything. And I said, but ew, that feels sleazy. And they're my friends. And she's like, no, you're providing a free service. You've been blogging for 2 years and giving them free stuff, like free resources and sharing all this information. Like, why should you not make money at this? How many hours a week do you spend at this? And really overcoming that mindset problem was a huge deal. And the first time I launched my program, I put it together. I sent out a reader survey. I got back tons of feedback. Like, this is what we would be willing to buy from you, which made me feel better. But even when I launched my program, I sold it for $10. Okay. So definitely way underpriced. And I'm thinking, I'm going to be happy if 50 women sign up. Like, I'll be ecstatic over the moon. 500 women signed up the first time I launched this program. And there was like, so many different emotions, honestly. First off, realizing, number one, I can actually make a living at this. I had left my job in corporate America. I took a severance package and I gave myself a year to figure it out. So that was definitely the first relieving realization. But secondly, like once people start paying you for something, there's this different level of pressure that's on you than like, oh my gosh, I've got to make this perfect and it's got to make everybody happy. And I'm going to be handling the customer support and I'm going to be doing this and doing that and burning myself out trying to make everybody happy, but you just can't. You can't do that. So lots of emotions around that. But I think the overriding one was that I had to get to a place where I knew I had to make it work in order to flip that switch that said, this is okay for you to ask your community, your quote friends for money.
Yeah. How large was your audience size? Because I know, a lot of people listening are going, God, well, of course she had 500 people sign up. It sounds like she's a pretty successful blogger to have 500 people sign up. How many people roughly were in that audience?
Okay, so true story. This is one of my biggest, when people say, what's something you wish you had done earlier? I did not even have a newsletter list at that point.
That's my same thing I always say. I'm always like, yes. If I wasn't such a jerk and so stubborn, I would be worth like 10 times the amount if I had an email list.
1000%. Yes. Yes. I didn't start my email list until after I launched my program, which was a big mistake because I didn't really have anybody to send it out to. So to say like I launched to a list of blah, 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 I can't even say that. My page views on the blog at that point were probably around 50,000. So that's not visitors, that's page views. So I don't even know, honestly, I can't accurately assess what the number of people were that I was launching to at that point in time. But I will say that through the first 3 years after I started my newsletter list, I was converting that list at around 10%. So which is phenomenal.
That's really high. Did you use social media as well as your blog or just your blog?
I mainly just did the blog. I had a late start on social media. I just started an Outfit Formulas account, breaking it out from my original brand, Get Your Pretty On, last year. So my social followings aren't huge. Like I have a 7-figure business without a huge social following, and that is entirely possible. It just, there are so many different ways that you can go about business, and finding the one that worked best for me, which was really about being authentic, honestly. I started out as, a blogger with other bloggers that were in the same space as me. We started at the same time. They went through the stratosphere because they were constantly posting new clothes on their accounts. And I had this big friend of mine, blogger, huge influencer. And we went to lunch one day and she said, you're never going to make it, right? And I mean, she said this with love. And I said, well, why? And she's like, because you're not selling clothes constantly. You're not doing like the Amazon hauls and selling all the Nordstrom anniversary sale and all this. Like, that's what people want. That's why my following is so huge. This is why I've grown so rapidly. And I said, well, the reason I don't do that is because I don't shop like that. I shop a few times a year. I reuse the clothes in my closet and then I post on social media my outfits that are closet shopped, basically. So I knew that I had to figure out a different way of doing things that was slightly disruptive in that space and was something that people didn't really understand. My programs like meal planning for your closet, like what? I don't even know what that means. I'm used to like Stitch Fix boxes or influencers doing hauls. Like this makes no sense. But just trusting my instincts and being true to who I was in my own shopping habits allowed me to see that there was this other space that I could really do well in. And that's kind of been the secret sauce and the magic in all of it.
So you trusted that there had to be more of you out there. If this is how you shopped and you got dressed, you couldn't be the only one. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, absolutely. And I got that feedback, from the blog. People would say, I love following you because you're doing something different. You're encouraging me not to just be out buying stuff to, adding more things to my closet, but helping me to be intentional, to shop with a purpose. Yes, I can buy new things. You're not saying like be a total minimalist, but this is the way that I shop and this is how my lifestyle is. And really just trusting that if you show up as yourself, you will naturally attract people to you that are like you and have the same habits as you. So it was hard at first to trust that instinct, but then years down the road, looking back, I'm like, oh my gosh, that was totally the right move.
What took you from, I think I want to do this, then you had a friend who was very successful in the space telling you it won't work. What got you to go from, I have this idea, I don't know if it works. I have someone who I respect telling me it's not going to work, to screw it, I'm doing it.
I think I didn't have a choice. I wasn't making any affiliate commissions by selling clothing. And I had 3 months of severance left in the bank. And I had to take a chance on something else working out. And whenever we had those 500 women sign up that first time, then that was really just that validation for, yes, women do want this. This is something that is valuable to them. And while it may not be as mainstream as this other, consumerist viewpoint, it's valuable. So yeah, just trusting that.
What is it about how you've set up this outfit formulas? What is it about it that works where people keep coming back for more? Because, you don't just have someone who's like one and done. I mean, obviously, I'm sure you have some percentage of people who are like that, of course, like all businesses, but you have a lot of repeat, right? People who've been with you probably for years. What do you think it is that you do that keeps the client retention so high for your business?
Yeah. So we have about an 85% customer retention rate, which is insane and really awesome. But I think that the key to that, honestly, is a few different things. Number one, it's our community. We have an extremely supportive community, and we open up a new community either in Facebook, or I use Kajabi for my membership site. We use Kajcom as well. So we have these two different communities that we run where women can get in there in a safe, supportive environment and explore style. I'm not appealing to the fashionistas of the world. There are women who are out there who are super stylish, know what they're doing, are not doing my program. It's women who feel overwhelmed, intimidated by style, maybe never felt stylish in their entire lives, or they're coming from a place of needing to reinvent their wardrobes, or a lot of times they're going through some major life transition. Honestly, it's more like style therapy in a sense.
I like that.
Into these groups, and we close the group at the end of each season. So if they want to continue on, with their group of friends, then obviously they sign up for the next season. So that's one component of it. Another one is that I do surveys constantly. Like, we are constantly asking our customers, what can I incorporate into this program? What pieces did you like? What didn't you like? What trends do you want to try? And I take, my team and I take all of that survey feedback and boil it down so that we're involving them in the process of helping me build the capsule wardrobe, so that I'm truly creating a product where it does have my creative stamp on it, but it's also kind of a collaborative effort where I'm building this with the community and they're helping me to make the decisions. And that's getting them excited about purchasing and continuing on with the program. We don't use scarcity a whole lot because, it is, it's a seasonal program. We also have evergreen programs, and women can sign up as the season goes on, but there is a little bit of scarcity built into it because we style the outfits together as a community, and they have about 2 weeks to get the pieces on the shopping list before we start styling our daily outfits together. So that part of it is sort of built into it as well. But it's, just having a seasonal program itself and creating new content makes it sticky. Like, people keep coming back for more. They want those new seasonal pieces and those trends to add into their wardrobes too.
Yeah, it keeps it exciting too. Yeah, I mean, community, you hear a lot of people say, "Oh, my community," but really, when you do, that's the difference between having a brand and a business, right? You have a brand. A brand has a community, right? It sticks. A business, business is like those ads you get on Instagram for like a random necklace that you think is cute. You'll buy it one time because you got an ad. You have no idea. You don't even probably remember the name of the store, right? Who sold it to you. So when you first started, were you a solopreneur? Were you doing everything yourself? How did this evolve, and who did you hire first? Tell us all the things.
Yeah, I was a solopreneur. And honestly, back then I thought I could be a solopreneur the rest of my life and be perfectly happy.
Like a true adult child of an alcoholic.
Absolutely. Like, I don't need help. What? No, but seriously, I never had a burning desire to lead teams. Although I led teams in corporate America, it was not something, leadership was not something that came naturally for me. And it's something, honestly, I've had to really work on, especially over the past 3 years as my team has grown and grown and we keep adding more people in. I felt like I've had to really just work on leadership skills. But my first hire was customer support. because I did not want to be in the inbox. And I also viewed any negative feedback not as, back then, now I view it as an opportunity. I'm like, okay, well, this is an opportunity. We can like fix this, or we can, make this right somehow, for the most part. Not always. But back then, I needed that space between me and what was being said. Because sometimes, this, you're in the public eye, you're out there, and social media is a perfect example of this. Like, people are mean. They just are. They're mean,
and it
all
stings
the time.
when you care, right? Because you do over deliver and you do care about your people, and you can't make everyone happy. And then someone says, oh, this didn't work, or I don't like how you do this. And you're like, it can be defeating. I love that you made that choice. Like, this is not going to be productive for me to be looking at these.
No. And it was really setting a boundary and putting that in place, that I needed that cushion between me and getting this feedback. And my first customer support person that I hired, it was like, look, you can give me the feedback, but just soften it. Like, just take all the emotion out of it and give me the feedback. And that's what they do to this day. Like, my customer support team still does this. I get a weekly roll up every Friday. This is for the inbox issues, and any of the emotional language is taken out of there. And that works for me because I can function well in that space. So customer support was my first hire. Second hire was a moderator for my community. I needed some more people on the ground to really just help them have that high touch personal feel in our groups. So that was the second hire. And she actually ended up becoming my business manager, as my right-hand woman to this day. And a funny story about that is that she was a customer. She was in my community. She DM'd me one day and said, hey, do you mind if I make a couple recommendations for the group? And I was like, hey, sure. Yeah, absolutely. She sent me through like 5 pages in a Word doc of all of these recommendations that she had. And I looked at my husband and I said, I need to hire this woman. Like, I need her on my team. And she has been phenomenal ever since then.
Wow. What about managing, I call it the content monster, because when you are, when you have a business, and especially a business that is online, there is an obscene amount of content, and especially in your niche, where you have, seasonal, then you have to have shots of the pictures and different shots of the pictures, and they have to be cute shots of the pictures. How do you manage all of this content?
Oh gosh, it is seriously one of the biggest challenges. I have a marketing team now, which is phenomenal. And I have a social media strategist. We started out with a social media generalist, and now we're going down the path of like strategist roles everywhere, from Pinterest to Instagram, like specialists that really understand each of the platforms and can, interpret it and bring to me, these are the ideas, this is what's working. I am not as much the face of the brand for Outfit Formulas anymore. I'm more moving into my own personal brand space, which is a strategic move that I'm making right now. And that has been interesting to navigate too. So, I'm creating content for my personal brand that I want to also repurpose for, I'm using it on TikTok. We're using it on Outfit Formulas. We're using it in our, on our blogs and in our newsletters and on YouTube, and just having a good content strategy where I'm not feeling burned out by the amount of content that the team is having to create, but where can we be really strategic with this? If we create one piece of content for the blog, how can we repurpose that across all of the other channels in a way that's engaging? And I think that's something that we've gotten really, really good at by just, throwing things against the wall and seeing what sticks, and then really getting very, very strategic from the data and pulling back, looking at insights, seeing what's working, what isn't. And as you know, just constantly following the shifting trends and the changing winds of social media, like, creating a reel a day now. It's crazy just to see how things have transitioned in this space in just in 2 years' time.
It's insane. I look at it like a game, it's just a game, and there's different levels, because otherwise, I'll personally lose my mind. So are you separating yourself where personal brand from Outfit Formulas because you're positioning that company to sell?
Not really. No, I don't think that's, later on down the road, obviously that would be great. If thinking about succession planning right now, I'm thinking about scaling, and that's kind of a whole different animal in itself, where I'm going from this being more of a lifestyle business turning it into like, oh, well, this is actually like turning into a big business. It's taken on a life of its own over the past couple of years. So I see the potential in there that this can be like an enterprise solution. This can be a big brand. And in order to do that, I have to remove myself as the bottleneck. And that means that I need to bring in more stylists. It can't just be me with the creative stamp on everything. And I need to be more intentional about partnerships with retailers and brands and what that looks like in the business as it grows. I want to offer more resources. I want it to be, my goal was to democratize personal style. And for the most part, my customers are by and large women in the 35 to 44 age range. But they want resources for the whole families. Like they want stuff for the
kids and husband,
and all of those things. And I want to be able to do that, but I have to be able to bring on more people, and it can't just be me doing that. So yeah, I would say that the strategy is more about that and really about allowing the business to grow into its potential, and bringing me out of it in a way feels like just the next natural step in that direction for sure.
People listening to you, you're very articulate. You clearly have your shit together. If they go and see you, which you guys should check her out on Instagram at Alison Lumbatis. So it's AlisonLumbatis. So you take a screenshot of this episode, share it in your Instagram, Facebook stories, tag me at ProjectME with Tiffany, and tag Alison. If you are taking a shower while listening, which I know you are, or working out, you can tag me and then I will reshare it and make sure that Alison is tagged, and all of her links are in the show notes when you swipe up, so you can go check her out. But you go check her out, you'll go, wow, like she's very pretty. Now I'm hearing her. She's articulate. She's doing all these things. She has this big team. She's doing this, that, and the other. Like, God, and she's a mom and she's a wife. Like, how do you do all of this? Are you a super type A person who has boundless energy?
No, no. And as you're saying all that, like imposter syndrome is like kicking in big time. I used to be super type A until about 2.5 years ago. And I got really sick with autoimmune type things happening. And I still to this day am having a lot of autoimmune things happening, which is basically your body's attacking itself. And there's, psychological components to that too. And just pushing myself so hard for so many years. I used to have boundless energy. I could work all day, all night, no problem. I can't now. I just can't. I have to pace myself. I really have to. And that's another reason why I'm pulling my personal brand out from the business too, because I feel like that is allowing me to kind of step back and really just be a visionary for the business and not feel like I have to so much be involved in every little aspect of it. So I would say that getting sick has been a gift for me. It has really allowed me to just reprioritize everything in my life. I am very organized, but I will say this, like, although I did not want to build out a team, that has been the true difference maker in this business for me, because that's allowed me to delegate things out to people who are smarter than me, people who can take my ideas and turn them into things that I never could have dreamed of. And I also realized that they are there to support me and to make sure that I'm not burning myself out on things that I just don't need to be involved in at this point in this stage in the business. So it's been a journey, a really, really like the hardest journey of my life in so many ways, but it's also been such a gift to be able to step back from things and just look at, like, what does this season of life ask me to do? My youngest daughter's graduating in a few weeks, and we're almost empty nesters. And what do I want the next chapter to look like? And where do I want to focus my time and energy and effort in that space? It's just been a really good time for reflection and figuring all that out.
So what do you do on the days or weeks where your depression has creeped in, your autoimmune is flared? So you probably don't know this about me, but I have a similar story, which is very common for people who grew up in toxic environments where my body stopped producing cortisol, which you die if your body does that. So yes, exactly. Mm-hmm. So I am probably 3 years ahead of you in the recovery process. So I'm just letting you know There is light, but you'll never be able to tap into that internal drugstore adrenaline ever again, which is a gift. So I know that. I used to tap into that. You can get a high off yourself. The supply of that high is gone. And I agree, it's a blessing. But the challenge is you use that as a coping skill to push through, to get through, to make it happen, right? And on those weeks, not days, because I can't stand when successful entrepreneurs are like, I had a bad day and I gave myself permission to take the day off. It's like, no, you sometimes have a bad month. What do you do on those weeks or that month where you're just being really hit? How do you take care of yourself, but still show up, because you do have responsibilities in a business?
Yeah. So yeah, that's a really good question. I feel like I have bad seasons sometimes. Honestly, like there'll be 3 months that go by that I'm just really hit with both the double whammy of the depression and the autoimmune stuff happening and flaring up. And again, just kind of going back to that whole, you don't have to feel it to do it thing. I do practice self-care. Like I know when I have to do more of that. I have to eat better, or I have to go get a massage, or I have to do the things that are going to see me through. They're not fixes though. They don't take it away. They really don't. I feel like it's kind of like you keep taking the steps toward coming out of the dark space, but it's not linear at all. Like one day you'll come up a little bit and then the next day you're like right back down in it again. So I do try to stay consistent with doing the things. Like I even keep a note on my phone. I call it my do good, feel good list. Like when I do these things, I feel good. Like do
That's
these things.
That's a great idea. I love that. You guys need to do that. What are some of the things on your list that we wouldn't think of?
Yeah. I mean, I have to be outside. Like that is a part of me. I grew up in the country. We intentionally moved into the country in like North Dallas, but country from North Dallas 2 years ago, because I have to be in nature and I've got to connect in that way. I have to do things like make time for yoga and meditation and journaling. I journal every single day of my life. It is one of the most powerful practices in the world. Like that is my thing. I have to journal every day, no matter how terrible I feel. Sometimes I pour out pages and sometimes it's just a paragraph, but I have to do that every single day. I drink tons of water. I know that that's another one. Like everybody says, oh, drink water, but it's true. Like I feel better when I drink water if I'm just really consistent with it throughout the day. But they're just small things that really just kind of build up on each other to just get me through those periods until I start to come back up out of it again. I've started building in time off. Like I used to travel and then like jump right back into things right away. I had a speaking engagement 2 weeks ago. The day that I came home, I completely crashed. I don't know if it was adrenals or I'm having blood glucose things happening right now too, but something made me just crash that day. And I decided from now on, I'm going to take at least 1 to 2 days off every single time I travel. Like that's non-negotiable, blocking it out of the calendar. The world is not going to end if I take off extra time at the end of a trip. But yeah, I'm still figuring it out, honestly. Like you said, I'm behind you in the journey. I'm just now kind of untangling all of the issues and everything that was going on. I had adrenal insufficiency too for a year, was on hydrocortisone and all the things. My adrenal glands are functioning again, thankfully, but it's just, I'm still figuring it out as I go.
And you're still able, I want you guys to hear this, whether, you're going through hormonal stuff, some invisible illness, divorce, drama, crap in your life. She didn't lose her business, right? Like you kept showing up in some capacity and it still worked out. You're still okay. You don't have to show up at 110% Alison every day for it to be successful. Would you agree with that?
Oh my gosh. Yes. Yeah, totally. And again, just like find good people to support you. And I have support at home. My spouse my husband supports me, whether it's, like throwing lunch on my desk because I'm not going to take the time to get up and get it, or making sure I have a tank full of gas. He understands that my business has unlimited earning potential and he's always there to support me in that space. But really my team has been just so pivotal. And I don't know that I ever would have delegated or gotten out of the way or removed myself as the bottleneck to growth if these things hadn't happened. And
probably, my guess is probably not.
No way. I would have just kept pushing through and going on that adrenaline high. You're so right about that.
It is a high. Yeah, it's a drug.
Oh my gosh.
It's an addiction for sure. That happened, innocently, but it is, it is a high. Like, I think that, the whole productivity thing, I mean, all of us, especially women, were like, I crushed parenting today. I crushed my business. I did laundry. I made dinner. I had sex with my husband. And then we're like on a high, like, I'm a good girl. I did good today. And that feels good. But then what we do conversely is you have a day, we label it as bad, right? I didn't get anything done. Well, is that really true? You got absolutely nothing done. That's very hard for me to believe for any woman out there. There's no way you did nothing. Right. I mean, even you resting is something. Like you did something. So we put these judgments on ourselves, and it's just insane. But you guys don't have to operate at some crazy level. And I think a lot of people who don't know you, hearing you or seeing you, everyone comes up with perceptions that you are, you're type A, you're 110% all the time, you're meticulous, you're always on it. And what you're saying is, no, that's really not the case.
So far from the truth. Yeah.
I appreciate you sharing that. So we need to know these things since, most of us are, probably dressed in a Snuggie, workout clothes, or sweatpants from college while listening. I mean, I have people in my audience that are more put together, but a lot of us, especially with pandemic times, have gotten kind of in that rut. And what can we do? Because what I love about you is you're not going to go, well, Tiffany, now you need to go and spend $4,000 and get these 25 pieces, right? Like, that sounds so complicated. Like, if you were to pare it down to, I don't even know the number, but you were to pare it down to a manageable amount of pieces, like little things that we can do to just kind of step up our game a little bit.
Yeah. So the first thing that I recommend that every woman does, and this is kind of an unpopular opinion, but you have to clean out your closet, because we only wear about 20% of what's in there at any given time. So there's 80% just creating noise. Honestly, like, you walk in there and we have decision fatigue in our closets because your brain doesn't know that you don't wear this because it's the wrong size, or it's not on trend, or it's 15 years old, or whatever. So I always recommend with starting, taking everything out that you're not wearing anymore and just getting rid of it. You can sell it, donate it, whatever you want to do with it, or you can just box it up and put it elsewhere. But if you're not wearing it, just don't have it in your closet right now. That'll allow you to focus in on that 20% and really make a good assessment of, do I need to shop? Do I need clothes? And if I do, what gaps do I need to fill in? Do I need a great fitting pair of jeans? Am I needing a new pair of heels? Like, do I have things for my special occasions? Do I have things for every day? Do I have the basics covered, like my t-shirts and tanks and things like that? And then you can go into the store armed with a shopping list and know that you are actually shopping with a purpose and filling in the blanks on this list, as opposed to just walking in there like a hungry person in the grocery store and just randomly buying stuff. So I think that that's really step one, is just clean out the closet and then head into the stores if you actually do need to shop. And if you do, I do have a download at alphaformulas.com/13 staples. This is 13 closet staples that every woman needs. You can print off this list or look at it on your phone or whatever and check off the pieces that you already have, and then shop for what you need. And I also included 13 different outfit ideas that are my favorite outfit formulas, honestly, created from the pieces on this list. And I tried to make it pretty non-seasonal. So meaning you can wear all of these pieces pretty much in all 4 seasons. So you're going to get that use out of them and be able to wear them again and again. And when it comes to buying clothes, don't be afraid to invest in closet staples. You don't have to spend a lot of money, but if it's something you're going to be wearing year after year, season after season, invest in quality. Don't necessarily invest in name brands unless that's your thing, then that's fine. But as long as it's good quality and it's going to hold up, that's what you need to be looking for. Then you can inexpensively add in the seasonal trends, whether it's a $20 necklace or a new bright colored blouse in the latest seasonal color or whatever. It's an easier way to update your wardrobe every season without having to just go out and spend thousands of dollars. You may only need to spend $100 just to kind of get a few pieces to keep everything else fresh and new.
What would you say could be like a go-to outfit for like that work from home entrepreneur life where we want to be like comfy still, but we want to look a little more put together?
Yeah. So my go-to is I'm a big fan of high-waisted jeans in stretchy fabric. Like that's my go-to. Almost every single day I'm in those. And then I just get like, I'm a t-shirt and jeans girl. So I'm wearing a t-shirt and jeans today. Like this.
I mean, that looks like a really like fancy, expensive top,
but it's so comfy.
But it's really just a t-shirt. How much is that?
$20 on Amazon. Like seriously.
Oh my, it looks like you look really put together.
Thank you.
Seriously. So it's a fancy t-shirt for $20.
It is. It's a fancy t-shirt. I just like t-shirts with a little bit of detail, whether it's like a sleeve detail or some kind of ruffle or something. And I paired it up with my high waist jeans today. And I just have on yellow shoes, like yellow flat sandals. And I'm super comfortable, as comfortable as I would be in what I had on this morning, which was my yoga pants and a tank top. And that's what I wear almost every single day. So I think it's about finding the pieces that work for you. And really just kind of exploring your personal style a little bit. If you don't know what it is yet, then go onto Pinterest and start pinning random outfits. You can look up casual work from home outfits and then pin about 25 to 50 images that appeal to you and look for common themes in those images. You know, are you drawn to certain colors? Or are you drawn to certain patterns? Is it, you know, like a very boho vibe? Is it modern? Is it preppy? Is it edgy? Are you eclectic? And if you can't do that yourself, then send it to a friend and have them take a look at your pin board and give you these cues about your personal style, and then kind of start building your pieces around that so that you can put your own stamp on it. It's fun. I mean, I think the cool thing about style is that first off, it's a skill anybody can learn. And secondly, you get better at it as you get older. So
well, yeah, and it's, you know, having a personal brand, right? This is part of it. Like we have to do video marketing. You have to have pictures taken. So this is a perfect, you know, opportunity. Instead of looking at it like, oh God, that sounds like so much work, like have fun with it. Like you can reinvent yourself at any time with fashion and the right looks, which is so exciting. So you guys, I will have all of her info in the show notes so you can swipe up, including that freebie. But you can also go check out Outfit Formulas Official, which is the Instagram for her company, just so you can see like what this woman has created from scratch now that you've heard us talk about it. So take a screenshot of this episode so that we know that you loved it, you appreciated the honesty and the real talk here. And you can tag me at ProjectME with Tiffany. You can tag Alison at ALISON LUMBATIS. Thank you so much for coming on and being willing to share of the stuff that isn't so cute behind the scenes, because that is going to help other people go, okay, maybe I am cut out to do this. I don't have to have it all together, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Thank you. Thank you for asking amazing questions.
Have a great day, love. Talk to you soon. If you enjoyed this podcast, please write a 5-star review on iTunes. Not only will this make me super happy, but it will allow more listeners to find our special show. Simply help me help others.